I even had many people say to me, they'd say, Alan, you're the first CEO that we've ever heard that used the word love in a sentence. And so, are you looking for a date? I said, no, I'm not looking for a date. I'm loving up humanity because we're here to create value and growth for all the stakeholders that are working with us and the greater good of mankind. So we include everybody, all the stakeholders. We come together around a compelling vision, a comprehensive strategy, and relentless positive implementation.
Today, I am hugely excited to be joined by a truly exceptional business leader, literally an American icon. Alan Mulally served as president and CEO of Ford Motor Company from 2006 to 2014. Facing a $17 billion loss when he joined, Alan implemented his One Ford strategy, resulting in profitable growth and one of the most remarkable turnarounds in US business history. Ford went on to become, as many of you know, a top automobile brand in the US. Before Ford, Alan held several leadership positions at Boeing from 1969 to 2006, including Executive Vice President and CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, where he developed his working together leadership and management system, a system and leadership methodology that we will be diving deeply in today. I'm really looking forward to this. Alan has a host of accolades, including being named number 3 on Fortune's World's Greatest Leaders and Chief Executive of the Year by Chief Executive Magazine. He is a member of the National Academy of Engineering and has served on various advisory boards, including NASA and the US Export Council. Alan holds degrees in aeronautical engineering and a master's in management from the University of Kansas and MIT, respectively. He currently holds board positions at Carbon 3D, the Mayo Clinic, and a little company you might know something about, Google, nonetheless. An exemplar of what it is to scale with purpose. I'm really delighted that we are also joined today by Editor-in-Chief of the Leader to Leader Journal and Alan's working together partner, Sarah MacArthur. Alan, Sarah, it's truly a privilege to have you both on ScaleX Insider today.
Well, really glad to be with you, and we love your leadership and management, and we look forward to sharing our working together leadership and management with all of your fans.
Oh, brilliant. Hugely excited. Look, Alan, I'm going to kick off because as regular listeners to ScaleX Insider will know, our vision is to inspire, connect, and enable millions of ambitious leaders of small and medium-sized enterprises to scale with purpose. Alan, your working together leadership and management system and its connected, collaborative and aligned culture of love by design is really wonderfully aligned on a system that I know you've used successfully to support many of those organizations that we've mentioned in your incredible bio to scale with purpose. I have never had a guest on who has prepared as much in advance of ScaleX Insider as you have, and I feel that's testimony to the man we have in front of us today. I wholly appreciate the work that has gone into to deliver value for our audience today in a slightly different format. For those listening, you won't be able to see, but Alan will accompany our typical format today with a wonderful slide presentation. So if you can follow this up on YouTube, then I encourage you to do that. Otherwise, you'll not lose the essence of what we're speaking about today in relation to listening on your normal podcast medium. We have really dissected today into 4 key areas. So, Alan, I'm going to kick off. You have served your family, Boeing, Ford, and communities around the world in such a positive way over the years. I'd love for you to share with us, please, your working together leadership formation, development, and service journey.
Well, very good. And Brendan, I just wanted to share with you, I loved it when you when you shared that I was named number 3 in the world as greatest leaders. And I want you to know that I was absolutely fine with that because number 1 was the Pope, and I'm still trying to get to heaven. And so I live with service and humility, and so I'm happy to be number three. Okay, now one thing that you said that is really has been really important to Sarah and me is what you believe in, and also what you committed your life to about scaling or growing your business. And so, as you pointed out, I have been studying your work for many, many years. And I have incorporated, and everyone knows this, or they're going to know it a lot more now, but I've incorporated all of the principles of your work and your fabulous ScaleX framework. I've included and incorporated those all in my working together leadership and management system and its connected, collaborative, and aligned culture of love by design to create value and growth for all the stakeholders and the greater good. So, Sarah, if we can please show my first slide to Brendan.
Surely.
And there's our title. And now we have our next one, which you covered. And then here's going to be our, now I think you want to go to.
Slide 4.
My
There
word.
you go. There you go. Okay, now this is the first slide, Brendan, that I want to share with all the people that believe in your ScaleX framework. And this is my writing, and I have continually further enhanced this through the years. And you can see right behind me your fantastic book, which is really, and you can see some other leaders that I have incorporated all of their thoughts also. And you'll see this when I share with you the detail of our working together leadership and management system. But yours is really phenomenal. And the reason too, Brendan, is because of the growth. Because you were at the time focused on small and medium-sized companies that you wanted them to scale up, or give them a plan to scale up, which most of them, when you started, were not able to do that. And so what you have here is pretty valuable on how to scale up. And also, I have been scaling up Boeing over all those airplanes over the years and become the number one brand in the United States, number one brand in the world, and 85% market share with all those commercial airplanes, including the 777, which is the finest ever created. And not only did we start out with a $17 billion loss at Ford, I helped save Ford, and we moved to $5, $6, $7, $8 billion profit, and we became the number one brand in the United States and the fastest growing brand at Ford around the world. And so we have been implementing every one of your 10 principles here. And you can see that what I have written down and what I learned and what I love from your book and your thoughts about working together. And you look down at the bottom and you can see my working together leadership and management system down there next to my airplane. See my little airplane over down on the bottom right? And also, if you look inside in the center, you can see the simple scaling title of your book, the ScaleX framework, and the 10 principles. And then look right below that, and it says our working together, which creates value and growth for
Alan,
everyone.
I want to share with our listeners, because they don't have the benefit of seeing what we have in front of us, which is quite incredible. I am truly, truly humbled, and you're overly generous with your praise for our ScaleX framework, and just an incredibly kind man to infer any association of the ScaleX 10 principle framework with Boeing or Ford. But for the benefit of our listeners, what Alan has done is taken our 10 principle ScaleX framework, which you will all be familiar with at this stage, and noted his experience of the 10 principles and how they've aligned with his working together framework, and certainly his experience within Boeing and Ford. Very kind of you, Sarah. This is quite incredible and a very humbling moment for me, I have to say.
Well, I think it's just going to get better and better because we are so aligned, Brendan, so aligned. Now, when I speak about the growth, here's what we want to think about through our whole interview here, is that the growth starts with everyone. Every participant is going to be growing when we grow the business. Also, the team is going to grow on how they work together as a team. Also, the organization that they belong to and they're serving, it's growing. And also, everything about the business is going to grow, because if you're growing a business, then everybody associated with it, starting with the customers and your suppliers and the investors and the bankers and everybody else, they're all growing. So everybody's benefiting. And then it goes further than that, because it also is your growth in your family. And it's also a growth with all your friends. So everything we're going to be talking about here between your 10 principles and our 5 major principles of the working together leadership and management system are exactly aligned, which is going to be fun for everybody. But it also shows you something that people are going to be really benefited by, and that is, how do you implement this? How do you actually do this? And I've done this with 200,000 people at Boeing, with 400,000 people at Ford. When we create a 777, we have over 600,000 people that are working on the design, and we deliver the safety, the performance, all the characteristics on time in 5 years from the day we commit it. And so this, including everybody and everybody growing along with the business growing, is the biggest service that we can provide for the good of mankind.
Here. I love the articulation there of this wonderfully positive ripple effect. Whenever you decide as a leader of a business to grow yourself, not only do you benefit, your family benefits, your team benefits, the organization benefits, the community benefits, the economy benefits. You get this wonderful positive ripple effect once you make that decision to scale with purpose. I love the way you've described that, Alan.
Absolutely. And just to build on what you said, to serve is to live. And your work of service is incredibly useful to everybody. And also, your love now is made visible. And so now everybody sees your service. They see what you care about. They see who you are. They see your love. And what we all know is, when they see your love, then that has it's such inspirational and so motivational to them and others to endorse this and participate with it. So this is this work life is, now you have one life, which is your life of love and service. And that I'm going to share what we've learned about that at Boeing and Ford.
Yeah, okay, I love that. I absolutely love that. And something that we say a lot here is that ultimately the way you lead is reflected in your business. Your team and your business become an expression of you. That's all of the positive traits and characteristics, but it's also the vulnerabilities, the frailties, the flaws. So it's really important as a leader that you address those, but ultimately then The value you receive is an echo of the value that you give. So it's music to my
And,
ears,
and
Alan.
absolutely. And we're all growing, including you and me and Sarah. I mean, all the leaders are growing and learning because, uh, lifelong learning uh, and service and serve to live is what we're all about. And so, okay, now your first question on the formation. And so, Sarah, if we can go to our first Work is Love Made Visible chart. Now, this is really interesting. And also for all the people that are doing just the podcast, I'm going to share this so that you, I hope, will enjoy and love it. And also, uh, we're also going to be sharing all of the slides. So like you can see them and they'll make a lot of sense to you. So this slide has a picture of the book cover of Work is Love Made Visible. Now, what everybody can see on this is that this book was created by Frances Hasselbein, and Frances and Peter Drucker are two of the most important leaders that have been working to help leadership move from command to control to working together since the Industrial Revolution around the world. And also Marshall Goldsmith, who is considered to be one of the best um, coaches of leadership in the world, and our Sarah MacArthur, who we have with us today. And Sarah, uh, it's unbelievable, Brendan, because Sarah was the co-editor-in-chief of the Leader to Leader Journal with Frances Hasselbein.
Well
And
done.
when Frances, and she's a dear friend of both of ours, and she passed away when she was 107. And she also asked uh, uh, Sarah to be the editor-in-chief of the Leader to Leader Journal. And as you know, it's one of the most phenomenal journals in the world
Here,
that
here.
teaches everything about working together and to serve is to live. So when you look at it, this book is titled Finding Your Purpose from the World's Greatest Thought Leaders. And so the three of them came to see me, Brendan, and they said, okay, Alan, we are going to write this book and about work is love made visible and the purpose of life and for you to have a purpose of life where you can serve and live and love and be make such a difference for so many people. So we'd like you to write the foreword. And we said, well, you've just given me a copy of it and I've looked at it and you have 35 different authors in here that are fabulous and their messages are great. I don't think I could add anything to it. So I said to them, I said, so why do you want me to do it? And Frances got really close to me, Brendan, and because when she wants to really have you understand, she gets really close and she said, Alan, because we are going to name you the leader of the future. And every year we're going to name who we think is the leader on how to be the leader as who you are as a person, your character, and also what you do and how you do it. And I said, whoa, okay. So we'd like you to write the forward because it'll help uh, open this up for everybody. So I said, so what do you want me to do in the forward? And she said, I want everybody knows who you are. They know what you've done at Boeing and Ford in your life and blah, blah, blah. But they don't know why you are who you are. I mean, why do you smile all the time? Why do you love people up? Why are you so appreciative, but also so holding everybody accountable for working together, both the principles and practices and the values and the beliefs and the behaviors? And so I said, well, Frances, the reason is I don't ever talk about myself. And she gets close again and she says, exactly. Exactly. I said, so what do you want me to do? And she said, well, I want you to write your story. I want you to share your story. And I said, well, where do you want me to start? And then she gets close again. And it's just when you were born. Oh dear. Okay. I've never started from when I was born with anything. I said, okay, I'll try. And so I started writing it, and I really found it interesting because I'll show you why. Because from day one, I was being taught about to serve is to live, and the value of including everybody. And so this is the first page of the forward that we're showing right now. But all this material that I'm going to share with you all today, we're going to have available for you so that you're going to be able to combine both the podcast that we're making today uh, with um, with Brendan, but we're also going to have all of the slides here, plus some references at the end that you can learn as much as you want about it. So we'll go to my summary of my formation, Sarah. And next and next. Okay. Now, well, Sarah and Francis and Marshall and I did is they asked me to tell my story from the start. And you can see down the left-hand side of this slide, Brendan, that the people that affected my life, impacted my life from day one. And that was my parents, Dr. Turner, Reverend Turner, and Francis, and a number of other people, including Sarah and Marshall and Peter Drucker. And so if you look at the what I learned from them, you can see the top one is, I'll just share a thought about how this worked. The purpose of life is to be in love, be loved, is to love and be loved. And my parents, every morning, Brendan, on the way to school, they'd stop me and my sisters, and they'd say, "Okay, now remember what the purpose of life and is the purpose of life is to love and be loved, Alan." I said, "Oh yeah, I remember, Mom. That was you really taught me well." And then she said, "Oh, but remember, honey, in that order." "Oh yes, Mom, that's right. Love and be loved." Okay. And then my dad, every other day, to serve is to live, honey. To serve is to live. Whatever you're doing, your work, whatever, you're taking care of yourself. To serve is to live. You can see, seek to understand before you seek to be understood. By working together with others, you can make the most positive contribution to the most people. You can see how this has led me to where I am. Expect the unexpected, expect to deal with it positively. And so you can see, as I became an engineer, well, change is throughout engineering, through a whole creation process. And also that allowed you to handle a changing world, because it wasn't something you're scared of. You're looking at it as an opportunity to further improve your growth plan. Lifelong learning and continuous improvement. Most people, the data says, they really stop learning when they're between 35 and 40 years old. And so the Working Together Leadership Management System, we are learning every week for our lifetime when we do our business plan review. Respect everyone. We're all creatures of God and worthy to be loved. And God is in all of the religions around the world. And at the highest level, what is God teaching? It's all about humanity. What can you do for the good of mankind worldwide? Develop one integrated life that's your life's work of service. And the one, Brendan, that I just never have forgotten, and you can tell I'm the same person, is it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. So I've always loved the humility part. And then you look on the right-hand side and you can see all of the aspects of my life that when you're asking about my formation, that I was leading with that learning on the left-hand side of the things in every aspect of my life, from being a teenager, all the jobs I had, the learning the service was phenomenal. We didn't have very much financial resources. And so serving also turned out to be a phenomenal, great thing, because people appreciated you doing that, including a little bit of money when you're when you're working at the grocery store and sacking the groceries and doing your checking. And I worked at on the farm, on the ranch, on construction. I worked for every professor I've had all the way through graduate school to help them with their work because I needed to make the money to be able to pay for my college. And so service was a fabulous thing. And then Nikki and I on the family, we got married 54 years ago. We have 5 children.
Congratulations.
And many grandchildren. And you can imagine when you have a lifelong learning mindset, boy, I'll tell you, you can learn a lot about living when you're a parent and a significant other. And then Boeing was phenomenal because I just love the airplanes. But what I learned from Boeing when I started meeting everybody and they recruited me was what they believed in, Brendan, was the airplanes were the first digital integration of people around the world because they were the first thing to get people together around the world where they could talk to each other and learn from each other. And they could also learn they had more in common than they were different. And so they could actually work together for the greater good. So the airplanes were in the all-time vision of helping people get together and work together around the world. And then, of course, I never thought I'd leave Boeing. I was on the design team of every Boeing airplane, on the 707, the 727, the 737, the 747, 57, 67. They asked me to be the leader and development of the engineering and the design of the 777 airplane, and then the general manager. And as you pointed out, they asked me to be the CEO of Boeing Commercial Airplanes, but also when we bought McDonnell Douglas to be the CEO of Defense and Space of Boeing too. And so I never thought I was going to leave, but then Bill Ford calls and I go, whoa, Bill Ford, Henry Ford's great grandson, gee, many Christmas. And he started sharing everything with me and I couldn't believe all the situation. They had purchased Aston Martin and Jaguar and Land Rover and Volvo, and they just lost their way with being the leader, which they were in the world of automobiles. And so everybody always wondered why I would leave Boeing, being the CEO, and then go to a company that was in really a really scary shape. And so I did because I really believed in what we all did during World War II, where the U.S. government asked Ford to learn how to make airplanes from Boeing so we could increase the scale so that we could go after the Germans in a timely manner. And so I really felt like I was being asked to serve the greater good by going to Ford. And then and now the last part of my life, look at that, Brendan, is getting a chance to share working together and to serve is to live with you and all of the people that you are making a significant contribution to help them with their life to service together. So now I want to give you 2 examples, summary wise, of this working together leadership and management system. So do you have another question that you might want to ask me about that?
And just before I do, I want to make a comment on the lifelong learning and continuous improvement piece that you mentioned, which characterized part of your development and continues to characterize your development. Just to share a little insight with our listeners, before we began on air, Alan, who is, if you don't mind me sharing with our listeners, 79 years of age, folks, who has led 2 of the greatest companies on this planet, 2 of the most well-known companies on this planet, and invited me, when I share the podcast, when I share the YouTube recordings, to provide back to Alan and Sarah any feedback that would potentially make his presentation and the sharing of his methodology and his story a little bit better. So you're walking your talk, my friend. So moving on, we've talked about the working together principles, the practices, and connected, collaborative, and aligned culture of love by design. Uh, can you dive into these a little bit more, Alan? I'd love you to kind of step us through these, if you would.
Sure, sure. Okay, Sarah, let's go to our principles and practices. So this is very similar to Brendan's everything that he is teaching about the ScaleX 10 principles. And so this is what I've included of everything that Brendan has, plus everything I've learned from everybody over the years. And these are the operating processes and the expected behaviors of the working together leadership and management system. And of course, you can see at the top, it's all to create this culture and this environment where you have skilled, healthy, psychologically safe culture where people feel like they can share what the situation is and the areas need special attention, and say highly motivated teams. And you can see down the left-hand side, people first love them up. Now you can see why all of this starts with the people, because it's all about humanity and including everybody. I even had many people say to me, Brendan, they'd say, Alan, you're the first CEO that we've ever heard that use the word love in a sentence. And so, are you looking for a date? I said, no, I'm not looking for a date. I'm loving up humanity because we're here to create value and growth for all the stakeholders that are working with us and the greater good of mankind. So we include everybody, all the stakeholders. We come together around a compelling vision, a comprehensive strategy, and relentless positive implementation. I'm going to share with you how we do that with the business plan review. Clear performance goals. That's why your title on the book of simple scaling, the most important thing is it's comprehensive and it's simple and it's understandable, just like this piece of paper here is. And that's why we've continually improved it over the years to make it the most useful it can possibly be for everybody to understand what the expected behaviors are. One plan, most companies have a lot of plans. Everybody's wondering what the plan is. Facts and data, we care what your opinion is, but we really want to know also what are the facts and data that you're looking at? Because when we are going to help you move a red to yellow to green, then us knowing everything you know is going to help us help you turn the reds to yellows to greens again. Expect the unexpected, expect to deal with it in a positive way. See, it's a positive mindset that we love knowing change. Everyone knows the plan, the status, and the areas need special attention. Now, think about this group, and you have 200 or 300,000 people plus all of the suppliers, and so we share everything about the vision, the strategy, and the plan, and the status. And all of the leaders on the team color code every week in the business plan review every item of their plan on whether it's green on plan, yellow they have an issue, but they have a solution in mind, but they haven't, or the last one is they have a red one, which is a new issue, but they're working on it. Now remember, keep thinking about this as a creative process, because that's what we do with Boeing and Ford, with the F-150s or the 777. So we're going to create world-class products. And then propose a plan, positive, find a way attitude, respect each other, listen to each other, help each other, appreciate each other. You notice how sophisticated these words are, but they're also really clear because they're all behaviors. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not writing down a whole bunch of values and beliefs. I mean, they're all great stuff. But boy, if you have these behaviors, then you're going to move to get integrated very fast of your beliefs, your values, and your behaviors. Emotional resilience, it is fabulous with this system because it's not something different, or you personally, all you have to do is trust this process. Go right back up to the top. You have an issue, Are you including everybody? Is it part of the plan? Blah, 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 all the way down. And trust, and also you talk about how easy this is now and how fun and fabulous it is to trust this process and each other. And of course, every morning, every night, I start and end the day with, I just can't believe uh, how much I have enjoyed this journey of serving for the greater good and doing it with so many talented people like our Sarah here today, and you,
You're
Brendan, and you.
you're very,
Okay,
very kind. I
okay,
love
now,
the again. I love the just to comment the simplicity of this. It's so wonderfully aligned. We say simple scales, complex feels, and often people will challenge us to say, well, scaling isn't simple, and they confuse the word simple with easy. Simple means uncomplicated, but it still requires effort. I think nowadays everyone's almost they're looking for a hack, they're looking for a workaround. But what you've expressed and affirmed here, Alan, gives me such encouragement given the extent of your leadership success on a global stage. You know, people first. This isn't there, there's no complication to this. Just love him up.
and
That word love is a word that's not synonymous with business, but I've heard it time and time again on the podcast from leaders of multi-billion dollar organizations, the likes of Bob Chapman, for example, the leader of Barry Y. Miller, Jason Lippert from LCI. And they come back to this time and time again about loving your people as if they were one of your family. And it can
and
often
their humanity. Yeah,
and their
you're
humanity, and it can
their
often
humanity.
be heard as something kind of quite trite or kind of idealistic or a little bit of Pollyanna-ish. But I suppose what I'm appealing to our listeners to understand, this is from somebody who is famous for one of business's most remarkable turnarounds. So this isn't some kind of trite throwaway AI generated list of characteristics and behaviors we feel we should apply, and we'll kind of pay a lip service to them when things are going well, but they'd be abandoned when they're not. You've applied them in the darkest times of business and turned around businesses as a result. So I just want to call that out, Alan. The people don't overlook what's written here. People first, everyone is included. Again, we talk about creating a positive growth culture, a compelling vision, a vision that's inspiring, comprehensive strategy, relentless positive implementation, clear performance goals, measuring what matters, having one plan, getting everybody onto the same page. Again, it's cliched, but it's cliched because there's so much substance and truth in it, and then rely on the facts and data in terms of your decision making. So, sorry, I just wanted to kind of confirm again and affirm what you're saying there. It's so, so critically important that people take notice and hear what you're saying. So thank you.
That's, I think that you've clearly demonstrated that we are one. Absolutely, absolutely. The other thing too is look how relatively simple this is. This is it. This is the entire working together, the principles and practices of how we operate. And everybody, and also I'm going to share with you is we have zero tolerance for anybody violating these behaviors. Zero tolerance. We just stop the meeting. We ask them, now, the way you went after somebody or the way you put somebody down or something you did that didn't result in us staying psychologically safe. Would you like a coach? We're going to help you. The team's going to help you. You're fabulous. We selected you because you're dynamite at your skill. And only a couple times in my 47 years has a person decided to move on because they all chose to have a coach, get some help from the rest of us, and they've loved it because of the success that they have had making a difference and what that meant to all the people that they were working with.
Yeah,
Okay, now,
I love that.
two examples for you. Boeing and Ford, unbelievable examples of our working together leadership and management system. Okay, next slide, please, Sarah. Oh, one thing, if you back up, Sarah, See the PGA at the bottom? That does not stand for Professional Golf Association. That stands for Profitable Growth for All. Now, this is everything that you have stood for, because profitable growth for all of the participants is absolutely scaling at its finest. If you're not growing the business, no matter what size your business is, then you're dying. And the only way to create value for everybody going forward and continuous growth going forward is if you're growing the business. And so what's profit equal? Revenue times margins. So revenue, how do we increase that every year? We create products and services that people want and they value it. And what's profit equal? Revenue times margins. And what are the margins? That's being able to increase the quality and the efficiency of your products and services continuously, year after year, forever. And you're doing this for the long term. All of your decisions now are to keep creating value and growth over the long term. Now, you can imagine when you have that fundamental, compelling vision of getting people together, in Boeing's case, on opening the highways to all mankind, and in Ford's case, that is long-term value creation. And you can imagine how everybody feels knowing that your business is going to be in business and they're going to get a chance to grow and benefit for their lifetime. Okay, next slide, please. Now, let's talk about Boeing. Okay, Brendan, this is the agreement that we signed, Boeing and United Airlines, to launch the 777. And remember, this turned out to be the most famous, the most successful, the safest and efficient airplane in the world. And you can see in the second line over on the right, and also it was handwritten. That's how personal it was on the left-hand side. And then you see a typed version over on the right. And look at that, responsibility to work together. So, it's in the highest vision was the working together. And our vision for the airplane was people working together to produce the preferred new airplane family. First time we had shared, it's not going to be just one airplane, but it's going to be a complete family of vehicles. We're going to show you. And then you can see what we committed to from day one, the best dispatch reliability in the industry, unheard of, never has been done before. Greatest customer appeal in the industry, and user-friendly, and everything works from day one. Absolutely unique. And we accomplished that because of our working together leadership and management system.
It's quite incredible, Alan. And just again to share with our listeners who don't have the benefit of seeing what I'm seeing, what strikes me about this, back to that word simple again, the agreement, the handwritten agreement to create one of the world's greatest airplanes is...
It's very specific data, what that means.
It's very specific, but it's like 3 post-it notes. It's not a 400-page agreement, which you would imagine would characterize the creation, the partnership to create, the world's one of the world's greatest airplanes. It's back to that word simple again.
In a very positive way, because the simple means it's understandable by a set of very sophisticated and talented people. Okay, so everybody can pull together, and every day, every week in the business plan review, everybody knows exactly what that vision is, what the strategy is, which is this, and what the status is. Okay, next slide. Now, look at this, Brendan.
Incredible.
Here's the very first 777, and this is a rollout. And all the people that are listening today, they're going to get beautiful pictures of this. And on this picture, this is a rollout of the very first 777. And all of the 110,000 people that you see underneath the airplane there, when you get the photo and you see it, you're going to see them all holding their children up and pointing to the part of the airplane that they helped create. And so You can see them all across the bottom. And then you notice up in the front by the windows, you see a working together script. You look up at the top of the slide and you can see the working together in red.
See it.
Well, this is very unique because on all airplanes, when you get ready for the first flight, the only two people you have on the airplane are the two pilots. And if it's a military airplane, you maybe have one pilot because that's the first time that you know that the airplane works. And so you've done all your work getting ready for it, but you're so respectful to keep it just with the two pilots. So I'll show you another picture. Next slide, please.
Before you move on, Alan, can I just ask you, when you're looking at that picture, what did you feel that day? How did you feel?
What I saw was to serve is to live, and working together always works, no matter what aspect of your life. And I couldn't stop smiling. And I had a chance to welcome all of those 110,000 people that came. And so when you get back to the purpose of life is to love and be loved in that order, holy cow. Not only do you love it, appreciating them, but can you imagine what they said to me and the smiles on their faces? Holy cow. It validated everything that I shared with you about my formation as a human being.
I love it.
Okay, now next slide, please. Now, this is really cool because here's John and Kenny. These are two good friends. They were the two chief pilots. They were with us on the entire program from day one. And you can see the airplane and they're working together on it. Well, the day before the first flight, we had their names on it because that's what you do on a first flight. And so we had their names on it and underneath the cockpit. And they came to see me and they said, Alan, we have never been associated with a program like this 777. And you've included us. We have included all the airlines. You can see their logos underneath the windows, all the way down the side of the airplane. We included all of our counterparts around the world. We shared everything from every airline that they had learned and what they wanted to improve the efficiency and the fun and everything else about the airplane. And you guys have incorporated it. We've never seen anything like it. And so it's nice for you to write our names on it, but we want to celebrate in this first flight the entire working together team, all of those 650,000 people around the world, and all of the rest of the stakeholders go with that. And so I said, okay. We had a group meeting and I shared their thought with the whole leadership team, and the leadership team just, I mean, they couldn't believe how neat that was. And so they did. So they took their first flight the next day. Usually a first flight's about an hour and a half. And their first flight was 4 hours and 37 minutes. And they had no problems, and they were well on their way to validating the entire airplane. Okay, now.
It's beautiful.
One last chart. Next slide, please. Now, I included this, and for the people that are going to get a chance to see this when you see our slides, this is the entire family plan for the 777. So this is a plot on the vertical axis of the payload in seats, how many seats you have on the airplane. And across the horizontal axis is the range capability. So payload and range. And so the first airplane that we just looked at is the blue dot over on the left-hand side, the 777-200. But you can see that over time, what we were planning, what we built into the design, is that we could increase the range so it go further and further and further. And then we could also stretch the airplane, and it goes back up there to the left, so it carries more people now. And then we'd increase the range some more. And you see all of the airplanes and the companies that we were competing with, that is better than them. And what was our ultimate goal was to replace, in a positive way, the number one long-range airplane ever in the world. And that was the 747 that we created. And of course, you can imagine what this meant to the airlines, because they actually, when we shared this with them, they actually bought more 47s to increase the long range operations, knowing that they're going to also they buy 777s, which would increase the efficiency and the range dramatically with this 2-engine long range, safe and efficient 777. So this is a fun piece of data and a key part of the 777 plan. Okay, now next slide. Now let's talk about Ford. So here's Alan and Bill Ford, and I when he was recruiting me, he actually said, "Alan, if you need to be the chairman and the CEO, I'll be happy to appoint you to be the chairman also, in addition to the CEO." And I said, "Bill, I would only come if I decide to come and join you. I'd only come if you stayed as the chairman. You are the leader. You are the Ford family head, and we're going to be doing a lot of things that are going to be changing Ford to save Ford, as well as create a Ford that became the number one brand in the United States again. So we're going to need to do this together." And it was one of the best working together relationships I've ever had in my entire life. He's a fabulous leader, great grandson of Henry Ford. And next slide, please. I'll show you some of the things we did together. And so remember, compelling vision, just like you said, comprehensive strategy, and relentless positive implementation. So when I got there, I did this all together with the team, selected the team, and then we all looked together at all the information about the compelling vision. And we found this Henry Ford advertisement in 1925. And he had 50% market share at the time. And he took this advertisement out. And if you look at the opening the highways to all mankind, and you look at the last sentence, everybody will be able to see that when you look at the slide. The Ford Motor Company views this situation today less with pride and great achievement than with the sincere and sober realization of new and larger opportunities for service to mankind. So here was a leader of 50% market share. And what was he thinking about? Scaling up. What was he thinking about? Growing the business to serve more of the mankind. Matter of fact, all of the mankind around the world. Next slide, please. And also I included for all your participants, not only the compelling vision, but also the comprehensive strategy and how we're going to relentlessly implement it. So this is a badge that we all made up together that include the plan on the left-hand side, one team, one plan, one goal. Looks very familiar, doesn't it? And looks like your 10 principles all there. And then look at the right-hand side, the expected behaviors. Holy cow, all 10 of your principles are on that slide. And everybody had this, and they carried it around, and it was on every room. And look at the expected behaviors, all the ones that we talked about earlier on the principles and practices. And they organized it and suggested to me that we do it this way by FORD, Ford. Can you imagine how I smiled when they suggested that? So all of the Ford people, all of the stakeholders, all of the shareholders, everybody around the world that's interested is all part of the plan. And we're going to operate this way with the behaviors. I also included the data for everybody across the bottom. You can see we're going to support the entire world. You see about 1/3%, Americas, Asia Pacific, and then Europe. And then you can see the size of the vehicles worldwide. Most of them are smaller, and then medium and large. And we're going to serve all of those, and then use our One Ford plan and the culture to create all of that. And then there is the business plan review, this delivering the profitable growth for all.
Yeah.
And so revenue times margins. And you can see the data that I added for everybody about serving all the markets, a complete family, small, medium, large cars, utilities, and trucks, best in class, quality, green, safe, smart, and the value, and a leadership team working together globally, worldwide, which that was new for them because Henry had set it up to have all these different Fords around the world. And that would never be competitive with all the new automobile companies. So globally, using our expected behaviors. Okay, so
Before we move on, Alan, again, I want to share with our listeners what I'm looking at and my reflections on what I'm looking at. And what's so refreshing in all of this is that there's no corporate jargon. Back to that word simple again. It's language that's relatable. It's language that everyone can understand. There's so much clarity there in terms of the one team, one plan, one goal under one Ford. The breakdown of the behaviors, again, no corporate speak there, really straightforward. Everyone who reads that can understand that. And the fact that you're sharing with people a little finance lesson that again is so straightforward for people to comprehend. I can imagine.
And motivating.
And motivating, and people on the factory floor when finance professionals, and I'm one of those, my background's in finance, start using terms like CAGR and ROIs and give me 3 letters and there's an accounting acronym that relates to those 3 letters, in a very simple way. You're probably so used to now talking about this that maybe you can potentially overlook the value of what is in there in a very simple one page. It's impressive in its simplicity and the reader's ability to comprehend all aspects of this. I love it.
Yep, absolutely. Well said. And also you can see how exciting they are to behave this way because it just enhances everything that you just said from a success point of view of every person individually, but also the success of the team. And so that's why I shared earlier that this will help align your own personal behaviors, your values, and your beliefs. So now you're one person in every aspect of your life. Okay, now, did you have another question? I think was really good.
Yeah, we want to explore the working together leadership and management system. If you would please dive a little bit deeper into that.
Great. And the way you said that is really important because I started out with the principles and practices when I was born. That's what's magical about Sarah and Francis is those principles and practices. I just kept improving them all through my life. And then when I got to Boeing and especially all the way through Boeing and then in the 777, then I kept getting more and more detail about how you do it. How do you do it? Because Boeing is phenomenal at doing things. Always was. Even if it was command and control, they were phenomenal. We just wanted to get more out of everybody and have them have a great time. And so the next slide is the principles and practices that it's implemented with the leadership and management system. So Sarah, next slide, please. Don't you love Sarah's work? I mean, she is the editor-in-chief. I have done this with her. I could never have done this as being an engineer. I love doing these drawings, but doing that with Sarah, I mean, she really helped me make it come alive. So here it is. It's on one slide. Back to your point about can you get it easily? Absolutely. So what do we cover? Look at the first one. First element, principles and practices. Look over the left-hand side. We covered all of that, and that was on one page. That was on one page. Governance process. Don't even need a page. Do we have the leadership selecting the right person from the board of directors? Are they part of it? Are they agreeing that we're going to have a leadership team like this? And we're going to have a creating value roadmap. We're going to have a business plan review and special attention meetings, the rest of this process, of this system. And then look at the leadership team on the right-hand side. And you can see program management, the project, business leadership, you got to have the skills. You select the best skills that you can around the world. But also you're including all of the stakeholders. It's just absolutely key because you need everybody that's committed to this together. And look at the leadership, teaching, facilitating, coaching, mentoring. It doesn't say command and control, tell everybody what to do because you think you're the smartest person, because you're not. You have all these fantastic people. And the point is to pull everybody together around the vision, strategy, and plan. And you can see the rest of those. Look at that: humility, love, service, courage, discipline, resilience, stability, authenticity, integrity. And remember, we're watching this every day. We're seeing each other every week. You can't escape this. And you're presenting every week. You're listening every week. And then we'll help you get better and better and better at all of these behaviors. And then you can see the third one from the bottom on the right: responsible and accountable for communication and nurturing our working together leadership management system. Zero tolerance for violating any aspect of this working together plan. And we'll chat you up. And if you want to not do this, we welcome the fact that you're choosing to move on, because I still love you up. You're fantastic. You're a great human being, and love you to stay. But we need this to be able to create this value, to scale this business up, to create value and grow everybody. And
I love this. We'll chat you up. I'm curious. That word love is appearing again, Alan. How was that received in an automobile company that's male dominated, super fast cars, synonymous with, macho males, and you're introducing this term love again. How was it received?
It was thoroughly endorsed and enjoyed, because everything that you mentioned, can you imagine how more effective you are on that when you have an environment where all of these talented people are working together? I mean, they're in awe. See, their individual contributions are appreciated even more. Who they are as a person is appreciated even more. And so, holy cow, this working together was endorsed, and they're all helping each other. Every business plan review, if somebody was starting to violate this or didn't listen or whatever, they'll just grab them after the meeting and love them up then, say, you blah, blah, blah. So, and also when you look at the bottom on the right, we have a very reliable process of stakeholder-centered leadership and stakeholder-centered coaching. And there's where Marshall Goldsmith is absolutely part of this plan, because we use all of the stakeholders to help everybody. And every year, every one of us, starting with the leadership team, but everybody, all 600,000 people, have a plan that has 2 or 3 things that they've selected based on their conversations with their team on what they need to do and want to do for this next year to improve their performance on working together. And everybody's helping them. And so it's all about lifelong learning and continuous improvement. Okay, now looking over on the right, you can see the creating value roadmap plan, and everybody knows that drawing. We go 5 years out, 10 years out on our commercial business and airplanes. We go 30, 40 years out. And so we have, what's the product, process, people, plan to create that value over the long term. So we're not guessing about it anymore. And every quarter and every year, we're improving the plan to continually profitably grow the business. which enables everybody to benefit. And then the business plan review, there's our fifth element. And every week, weekly review, the entire team's there. And on the team, I always use a matrix organization. So I have all the skill teams, engineering, manufacturing, procurement, HR. And then I also have all of the P&L leaders for the profit and loss leaders for the Americas, for Europe, for Asia Pacific. So a nice, simple matrix organization. And now you have two ways of looking at everything associated with the status of the vision, the strategy, and the plan. And so that's why we've never had a restatement for the government on our data that we turn in, because everybody knows, we all know exactly what the status is. And then every one of those leaders goes through the business environment also. That's why we're not surprised. We were never surprised in 47 years of what was going on around the world, because every leader, engineering, manufacturing, procurement, HR, government, community relations, all summarized in one chart what was going on in the world and what things could be a positive opportunity for us to improve our plan, and also the ones we wanted to mitigate the downside. Also, the status and the forecast, the areas need special attention, which we all solve together. And then at the end of the year, we have the better plan. That takes about 2 nanoseconds because we've been working on it all year long. So look at that drawing down below. We can improve that right away. Now, it always won't be exactly straight going up because you're making investments for the long term. But can you imagine how powerful those conversations are when everything we're doing, we believe that strategy is going to improve the value over the long term, even if it took a little bit of downside over the next quarter or whatever. Now, looking at the leadership and management system, look at the little arrows going around. What that means is, think of the business plan review. Every week we're together. Every week. Think of you being a member of the team. And every week I start out the meeting going through the working together leadership and management system. I share the vision, the strategy, the plan, the status, and every member goes through every element of their vision, strategy, and plan to help us achieve the total one. And the PGA has a heart around it because everybody's going to benefit. You're going to be able to hire some more people, going to love them up all the way along. Now, just one simple thing that I want to tell you about a relationship with fabulous Sarah. Remember, here she is, the editor-in-chief of the Leader to Leader article and a best friend of Frances Hesselbein. And so we were working on our slides here, and she sends them over to me with a couple of things we decided to improve. And I'm looking at it. And so I called her on the phone. I said, Sarah, there's a line somehow that accidentally got under that word leader on the leadership. Seeing that one over there on the leadership team. And I said, and she said, oh no, that just didn't show up. I added that to go over that with you. And I said, well, please go over that with me. And she said, well, the reason I underlined that is that it's really important that everybody understands, all of the stakeholders understand that the leader that you select is really important. Yeah. Because this can only be done with this way, with this focus, with this discipline, with this love, if the leader believes it and the leader's committed to it. And if the leader makes a mistake, he's the first one that apologizes. I'm really sorry for the way I said that. I can do better. Matter of fact, since I've done that 3 times, I'm going to add that to my yearly improvement items. And so I said, but Sarah, I never talk about myself. And she's just like Frances. She said, exactly. But who you are is really, really important. And this is who you are. That's one little reason that you've been successful at this for 47 years at serving at Boeing and in Ford and your family. Okay. Now, you have one last question, which is really important. And remember, for everybody, how how Brendan and I decided about these 4 questions is these are the 4 questions, and Brendan and I talked about this, are the most asked of him and me as a leader. This is what they want to know from us. And so that's why we are sharing exactly what everybody wants to know and learn so they can learn how to do it and why. Okay,
Yeah, I,
your last question, please.
you've mentioned serving hundreds of thousands of people, both in the context of your time in Boeing and in Ford, Alan. And what strikes me is the way you speak with so much love about your wife of 54 years, Nikki, your 5 kids, your grandkids, and often what I hear from leaders when we're speaking and inspiring and motivating them to scale with purpose is the potential compromise on their home life. You have done quite an incredible job of not only leaving such an incredible legacy in 2 industries, but also an important legacy at home. What I'm curious to understand is how you how you manage your kind of work-life balance or work-life integration, taking everything that you've shared with us today.
Well, that's terrific question. And the reason it's terrific is not just because of me, it's what every one of us goes through in our life. And uh, and when I remember this started when I was born, and I can remember the first time I heard that, I was in grade school. And I can remember going, what in the world does that mean? Don't we just have one life? I mean, I'm looking around saying, where are all these different what are these lives you're talking about? Well, then I realized, so I started learning about that because I'm doing all of that service work. Oh, you're meaning you're separating those out and you're going to be a different person in those different lives, even, even if they understand that it's service. I mean, there's a set of services you're doing that are associated with work or your occupation, and that's going to be a different you than your service with your family or somewhere else, or your religion and what you believe in. So I never could understand that. So I want to share with you an answer about that, my thought about that after my 79 years. Okay, and then I'll also share with you how I implemented our working together leadership and management system, and especially the business plan review with our family, with Nikki, which is, and I don't, they might be showing up here because we're close to Thanksgiving and the kids are arriving. So they might be joining up to share with you how much fun what I'm going to share with you was.
Brilliant.
Okay, now, next slide, please, Sarah. Uh, and Brendan, I want to start with the authentic word that was in the previous chart, because becoming an authentic leader is really, really important in working together. And the neat thing about authentic is how simple and straightforward the definition is. And then when you look it up, it says you have an alignment, you have become aligned with your beliefs and your behaviors, and your values and your behaviors. Now, this is very rare, as we all know. And like I said, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, so I don't know what somebody's beliefs are or what their values are, but I sure know what their behaviors are. And that's why you saw in all of the principles and practices, all things that we could see, because that's what we needed to all of us to be and to do, however you think about it, because that's what's required for us to get the value of including everybody. And so the alignment is interesting because it includes both who you are as a person, that's the B part, and this is invented by Frances Hesselbein and Sarah, which is phenomenal. And it includes the do part. That's your skills and your attributes and blah, 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 blah. But also, it's important that they be together. So you're one person, you're authentic and you're one person. Okay. And so it's your qualities. It's also, you get a chance to work on lifelong learning. You can see continuous improvement. Just keep working on this forever. Okay. Next slide, please. Now, here's how it comes together. And the plus on this is really important. So you can define your be and your do in lots of different ways. A lot of people use character on your be part. They'll use competencies on your do part. You can use beliefs and values on your be part. You have it in your head. It's your mindsets. Then you got your behaviors on what you do, and everybody can see it. Or it's your mindset. You can think of that, which people can't see, but it sure as heck can see your actions. So either way, you want those integrated. And you notice on the right-hand side, the leader of this important aspect was Frances Hesselbein. And she was the first one to say that the character of your quality, your be, is going to have more to do with your success in doing things, no matter what aspect of your life, than anything else. So you might want to really start working on those behaviors. And in our case, we've defined that with that one slide, those principles and practices. You define that in your model. And then, of course, I was so blown away when I saw this on the left-hand side. I said this somewhere because somebody wrote it down, that I said, well, leadership is moving from I to we and me to service. Really? Now look how subtle that is. Moving from I to we, because we always start out as an I.
Yeah. We're
an I. And you either end up moving to we, including everybody, or you don't. And me, is it all about me, what I'm doing? Or is it about service? Working with others to serve. Now, look at this. When you look at this now, if you move from I to we and me to service, now look at we and service. So now we have working together to serve. So now you have everything about yourself all lined up with everything about serving is to live. And your service, no matter what part of your service is, your occupation, your personal life, your religious life, your family life, that it's all one, and it's your serve is to live, and that's also your love. It's visible to everybody. So next slide, please. And look what everybody is telling Sarah and me now about this working together. They loved contributing to the F-150. They loved contributing to the 777. But all the notes we're getting today is about Alan and Sarah. We want to go over this with you. What we really, really love about what has happened to us being part of your working together leadership management system is moving to an aligned of our beliefs and our values and behaviors. And the way that and the reason that plus is so important about the be the do is that we have ended up being one person. And we're the same person on what we think and also on what we act in every aspect of our life. So on this drawing, for everybody that is listening and they'll get a chance to see the drawing, is you can put many circles in this big circle of all the different aspects of your life: family life, your spiritual life, your community life, your personal life, your occupational life. I can't stand to put work again in there. Your occupational life. And then clearly, when you integrate all of this and you are this one person now, then you have one life, which is your life's work of service. So now the work can apply to every aspect of your life, your family life, your personal life, your work life. It's all one life, and it's your life's work of service. And also, you look up at the title, and your life's work of service is your love made visible. That's who you are, and people can see that. And what everybody's telling us now is they'll say, Alan and Sarah, um, when people see our love, no matter what aspect of our life we're doing, that we care about them, we care about the project we're working on, we're respecting each other, we're listening to each other, then they go, it is inspirational. That's what people are telling us now. You, you are inspirational. And it's also very motivating. So if somebody hasn't integrated their beliefs and their values with their behaviors, then you are now positively enabling them to move in that direction. And they have one life and life's work. Okay, now to your question, to your neat comment earlier. See, you can look over on the right-hand side and you can see we talked a lot about our love is made visible. And then where do you see that? Well, we just spent a few minutes on our working together leadership and management system. It's all there. The business plan review, sheesh, no kidding. Uh, you only can act this way. Can you imagine coming every week and then you would not be respectful of everybody and you would not share what's going on and your reds and your green, your yellows, and then you come back to next week? I mean, you see the responsibility and accountability now is you're not working for just this leader. You're working for what it is that compelling vision that you have. And who are you talking to? You're talking to all of the leadership team that represent all of the stakeholders too. So you're not going to let them down. And it's psychologically safe. So you can tell them everything. And they're going to clap when you're a red, which is what I did the first red that I saw. And everybody knows that when on a business plan review, they thought when I clapped, when Mark showed a red item, they thought the two doors behind me in the world headquarters board of directors conference room was the two doors were going to open up and two large human beings were going to come in and extract Mark from the meeting because he put up a red, because they all said, well, anytime anybody showed a red and didn't have a solution, then they got moved on. No, thank you so much, because now we all can help you as you want, turn the reds, yellows, and greens. Okay, then the next one, you can see the family plan review. There's another business plan review. And then also look at the one below that, life plan review. So, Brendan, you could start tomorrow morning with a life plan review. So all you have to do is define your compelling vision for your life, define your strategy for achieving it, and define your positive implementation plan. Relentless, meaning do a meeting, talk to yourself in the mirror. That's your first partner. Talk to yourself in the mirror every morning. Ask you how it's going. How are you doing against the vision, the strategy, and the plan? Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Ask them what they think. Then you're always going to have this wonderful continuous improvement, lifelong learning experience. And you can do that as an individual. And it's really important as an individual because it starts with the individual. That's why that's smart Sarah put that line underneath the leader. Okay, now the family plan review. Now, this is interesting you said this, because it is phenomenal. And it's one of the most important things that people tell us that they take away from this meeting that we're having is this is something that they can positively impact their life right away. So they go home right away and they start their version of a business plan review. So Nikki and I, we wanted to have 5 children. That was our plan. And we were doing well on our plan. And I think by the time we had 2 or 3, I came to her one time and I said, so honey, I think we need to have a business plan review every week. And she said, Alan, this is not Boeing, and we don't need to have a business plan review. This is our family. So I went, okay. So I waited, but I sure remember the word family when she said that. Oh yeah, that is. That's kind of a compelling vision to start with. And so I came back the next week and I said, so honey, I think we need to have a family plan review every week, just like we have a business plan review at Boeing. And she said, oh, well, what would the agenda look like? I said, well, the first agenda was when we come back from church on Sunday morning, then the first agenda item was all of us, including you and me, we'll go through the whole house, pick up all of our stuff, take it back to the cubby, take them back to our room, because with 7 people there, it looks like a bomb's gone off after a week. So, but also it goes very fast. It's very efficient because everybody gets all their stuff put away. And she said, what's the next agenda item? I said, well, then everybody will go back to their room and they'll get their laundry and they'll bring it down to the laundry. And we had acquired 2 washers and 2 dryers because our plan was we wanted to do the laundry once a week instead of doing it every day. And so we do the laundry together. Then everybody bring the clothes down, put it on the kitchen table, and then we sort them. And of course, no one has a compelling vision of sorting socks for somebody else when you got 7 people on your team. And so we did have that done in a minute or two. That was all done. They take their socks and take all their stuff back to the room. Then they bring their schedule down. We sit at the table, and the kids would start this when they're in kindergarten because they didn't want to miss the hanging out. So they'd be around this round table, and then we go around the room, and everybody would go through their schedule and tell us what they're going to do and what help they might need, and they'd be available to help everybody else. And so, do they need a taxi cab service or cheerleader support or whatever? And so I'd write down things, and everybody else, and I'd go back and give them to my assistant at Boeing, and she'd build it into my calendar, and everybody knew where I was. And sometimes I'd disappear for an hour and whatever. And so that was great. And then the next one was we would just review our compelling vision and our strategy and our plan for our family. And also ask each other for any input that they have on things that we're doing great or things that we might want to improve. And I can't tell you how that taught these kids how to work together, because you can't do this in a rough way when you're going to be back together next week and stuff. You got to love them up. That's why you're here. You're helping them up, helping them out. So I'll give you one example of this. So Molly had a after school, she had a recital for her dancing class, and so she told everybody that she needed to ride, and Chris had just learned how to drive, so he said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to take you," and she said, "Great," and so that meeting that week passed by, and we had our next family meeting. And so we got to this element of the plan, and she said, okay, Chris, I'd just like to bring up that, did you remember that you forgot to pick me up from school and take me to the recital? And he starts turning white. I'll never forget this. And he's going, oh, I'm really sorry, honey. And then she said, well, the reason, I just want to remind you why I wanted you to do it. First of all, I needed you to get there. But the real reason was I wanted you there so that I could share this with you, and you could meet my friends and you could see them work or do this and what we've all done to get to this place. And I didn't get a chance to go. And I mean, oh gosh, he said he was sorry. He said, I have some things that changed. That's not the issue here. I should have worked on it out in the open, and I'll never let you down again. And I don't think he did. And he's 47 now, and she's 38. And I don't think he's ever let her down again. And it's the same way with all of the kids. I mean, when you go through this, you take working together to the highest level, that you're here for growing and leading and serving. Jiminy Christmas. So then the next item, she said, what's the next agenda? I said, well, we'll go around the room again, and everybody needs to share with us what they're going to do this week that could be really positive that we need to know about, because people are going to say that to us, and we're members of the family, so we need to know that, so we know We know what's going on. And if you're going to do something that is not so good, like you're going to steal something or do drugs or something like that, let us know that too, because we we like to be able to handle that. And this didn't solve everything when they got to be a teenager, but man, it made a big difference. And so the last, so the last thing I want to say about this is that we still get together twice a year, all together around the world, and then a lot of times in between too, because we're all still really close and tight and love working together. And so by the time they could have a drink in their age, they used to have when we got together the funniest and fun conversations about these business plan reviews, about what they went over and blah blah blah. And so one time it kind of sounded like maybe they didn't have such a good time or something. And I said to them, so did you ever have did you ever not want to do this? She said, oh no. We really enjoyed it, and we didn't mean to sound uh, like we didn't. And then uh, one of them said, Dad, we would never, ever have not come to the family meeting. I mean, ever. We loved it. And do you know why? One of the reasons we absolutely loved it? And I said, well, I kind of know, but I'd like to know what you think. She said, well, the last agenda item was you passed out the allowances.
I think I might be a little bit late. My kids are 21, 19 and 16, and I'm not sure that they will join me in the business plan review. I absolutely love this, though it's the most comprehensive and beautiful answer I've had to that question about
just go home and start it right away.
Well, it's something that my wife Colleen and I have been doing more of in the context of the life plan review, and just ensuring that my vision for the next
That's
two,
good.
3 decades is very aligned to Colleen's, because often we can have these aspirations of what we want to do. Mine could be travel, and maybe Colleen doesn't want to travel, and that's going to cause some friction by not having the conversation about what our respective compelling visions are and what are aligned, what that
Right.
looks like when it's aligned. So I absolutely love that. Alan, you have certainly inspired today. You have served our audience with immense value, and I have loved every moment of this. I'm feel
Thank
incredibly
you.
privileged and humbled to have such incredible leaders share my time, share the podcast with me today. I want to support you in sharing your work, your working together movement. So if people want to connect with you, Alan, Sarah, how best to reach you guys?
Well, the best way is they can either contact me or they can contact Sarah. And Sarah manages everything. And so she is a dynamite resource.
Brilliant. Well, look, we'll connect or we'll share these materials, these wonderful
Oh
materials
yeah,
within the show notes.
let me let's say one more thing for you, for all of your participants. If you go to the next slide, Sarah, here's some things that we included for you. This is
Amazing.
an exercise that I'm showing you here about defining for yourself who you are who you are, what you are, and how you do it. And you can see this from what Francis and Sarah took me through on this was so powerful about the why. And so I just filled those out for myself as an example, because now that you know me, you can see the who, why, what, and how. So, and it's really a great exercise. The important thing is once you fill it out, you need to talk to the people that know you, your family and your friends, and they'll tell you what they think about the words you put down about who you, why, what, and how. And so then you have a wonderful source of continuous and lifelong improvement. Okay, next slide. Now we added this too, um, and Brendan, this is um, this this will blow you away. Compelling vision is really important. And it can be a small item, it can be a large item. It's got to be a compelling vision. We have a lot of them. You can have one every day on what you're doing to serve. And so, what is it that's going to enable you to deliver on the compelling vision? Well, look down the left-hand side of those examples. Notice that every one of them, Boeing, Ford, Mulally, Sarah, Francis, everyone, look at the everyone, starts with people working together. And, and it starts with you and the person you look at in the mirror in the morning. That's a we, that's people, because it starts with you and everybody else. And then look at the two through all that, to serve the greater good as we all are worthy to be. And so you can see the one for the Boeing to work together to produce the preferred new airplane family. Ford working together to open the highways to all mankind. The Mulallies, our family working together to serve with love and humility. Sarah and Francis, people working together to create a bright future for all. And for everyone, just fill out down below, people working together too, and do it every day, do it every quarter, and then just do your business plan review against that. So, I mean, it just works. It's unbelievable the way it works. Okay, next slide. Now, we've also included, this is for everybody, some information about why the working together always works, because you're working on it. And you can also, if you get to the place where you need to make a change, well, you can make a change, plus you have all the talent to help you make a change. So it always works. Next slide, please. And then we added some questions that people ask about it. And you've asked most of these today. The one that you absolutely will love is, how does your working together, or leave that one out, does your working together always work, or does it not work? It's never not worked. Never. You're going to, because you're working on it the whole time. Next slide, please. And there are some more. And next slide, please. And then, and this is for everybody that can't see it. It has a picture of you, Brendan, and a picture of Sarah, and a very precise and fantastic bio for each one of you. So they'll get this with their with the document too. The next slide, please. And we included a few references for you and all your participants. And Sarah was phenomenal with this, because when you see the references in blue, all you do is click on them and it goes right to it. So you can see work is love made visible at the top. We talked about Alan's engine is fun. The conversation with Alan, that's Sarah interviewing me. The extraordinary power of leader humility by Marilyn, who is the head of all education at Seattle University, and an engineer of the year, American icon. And also, if you look at below that about Ford, I also included a video that has 5 one-hour segments of creating the 777 airplane, which will blow you away.
Wow.
It was #1 for a long time. So anyway, we have a few of those references for you. And we have never seen a negative article about the working together, because everybody, and just like you, everybody that has been really contributing has their principles and practices just like yours. And so, just like us, looking at you and adopting everything that we loved about yours, we try to include information from others too that we were very excited about. And of course, you're going to be on this list too going forward. So thank you very much.
Alan, thank you. I have really, really enjoyed and hugely valued the last couple of hours to
Right. You did say a couple of hours, and that's a little bit longer than what we had planned. But I hope that
well,
everybody will enjoy it.
well, you know what? It's not every day I have leaders of such high esteem in front of me. I would spend weeks with you guys if I got the opportunity. I'm not necessarily sure my listeners would tolerate me in doing that, but this is just incredible. We're going to share all of these resources, your wisdom, your experience, your desire to serve and to share is so admirable, Alan. I have to say I revere you for the way you live your life on a personal note, and I absolutely revere what you've done on the business
Well,
front. So,
I appreciate
thank
that. And
you.
also, I'd like to thank Sarah and you for your service to get us to this place where we can share this with everybody. And because we know how powerful it is, we know how it works, we know how people end up moving towards one life and their life's work. And think about another thing I didn't say is the other thing that they're sharing with us is that their anxiety goes down in their life because when they go to the office, they're acting one way. When they go home, they're acting the same way. When they, in their mind and their religion, they're acting the same way. And you can imagine how comfortable that is for human beings not to have these different lives, that they have to be a different way of being and
One
doing.
100%, and the energy that that must save people when they're not
Exactly.
having to lift a mask on in and uh, carry themselves, conduct themselves with a different persona. That requires the consummation, the expending huge amount of energy, which could be energy otherwise spent in serving and executing on that compelling vision.
Absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
absolutely aligned on that. Alan, sir, go you and enjoy your wonderful wife. You mentioned your grandkids are due to arrive soon. It's been an absolute pleasure. I wish you every success and whatever support I can lend in terms of getting the
Just
getting
just
the
keep
message
keep
out there.
just keep serving. Keep serving
Thank you so
the
much.
greater good. You're
I,
serving the
I
greater
will
good, my friend.
indeed. I look forward to staying in touch. And Sarah, thank you for all the support. There's been a huge amount of preparation in advance of this. I know our listeners will hugely appreciate it. This is going to form material for our program for the years to come. So, once again, Alan, Sarah, thank you so much. Take care.
You're welcome. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving. Worldwide Thanksgiving.
Thank you indeed.